All right, strap in, everyone, because today we are going deep with The Empire Strikes Back.
Deep, deep, deep.
But not just the movie itself. We're going even deeper into, like, the fan reactions, the reviews on IMDb.
Oh, yeah, IMDb, that's a treasure trove.
Spanning decades, we've got everything from, like, the folks who saw it opening night all the way to people discovering it today.
I love that, because you really get to see kind of how the perception of a film evolves over time.
It does. And that's what we're doing today. This is our deep dive.
I love a good deep dive.
So,
where do we even begin? I mean, this is Empire. It's like legendary.
exactly. And you know what's so fascinating looking at all these reviews?
Yeah.
The positivity is just overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, good movie. I mean, people call it a masterpiece.
Right, a masterpiece. Some say it's better than the original, which...
I know, right?
Whoa, that's a bold statement.
It is. And you know what's great? People get really specific about what they love.
Oh, yeah.
Sleeping Dragon, for example, said they give it a 10 out of 10 just for Yoda.
For Yoda? That's amazing.
Just for Yoda. It makes you wonder, what is it about Yoda that really...
I think it's more than just liking the character, right? There's this unexpected wisdom he has that kind of subverts, I think, what we traditionally expect a Jedi Master to be.
Yeah, I mean, he's tiny.
He is tiny.
And kind of funny looking.
Yeah.
But then he's got this, like...
profound wisdom.
Deep connection to the Force.
Exactly.
And, I think that kind of ties into a bigger conversation about this film versus A New Hope. Because so many people talk about how Empire is just darker, more mature.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a shift in tone.
It is. And that must have been a gamble at the time.
A huge gamble.
Because, you have Star Wars, which is this, like, runaway success. It's light, it's fun, it's adventurous. And then to follow that up with a film that's got this heavier feel to it.
It's a risk, a big risk.
But it paid off.
It did pay off. People loved it.
And Spleen, one of the reviewers, even argues that it's not necessarily darker.
Okay.
Just more mature.
Oh.
They say it's this focus on human impulses, the good and the bad.
Right.
Over that kind of pure mystical force stuff.
Interesting. So it's not just good versus evil. It's more nuanced than that.
It's about choices and consequences. And you know what? Even visually, the film kind of leans into that.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about the lighting.
Yeah, the lighting is...
so much shadow, especially on Dagobah, where Luke's facing his fears. It's like, visually, they're showing you the ambiguity of it all.
Yeah, you get a real sense of, the moral grayness of the situation.
Exactly. And it's interesting because then we have all these reviewers saying, Empire has aged so well. Like the special effects, the story, the characters.
They're timeless.
Timeless. They still work.
Absolutely.
And Anonymous Maxine makes this point about how George Lucas, in the special edition, barely changed anything.
Really?
Like, it's this testament to how good the original was.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It was like
almost perfect the first time.
Almost perfect. So what makes it timeless? What do you think? Is it the story itself, the characters, the effects?
Well, I think, the Battle of Hoth, for instance.
Okay.
Those Atwalkers.
Oh, the walkers? Iconic.
Yeah,
Iconic.
yeah.
Everyone knows what those look like.
Even if you haven't seen the movie, you've seen the walkers.
It's true.
That's visual storytelling, and it really pushed the boundaries of what could be done with effects back then.
Right. And even today, those walkers, they hold their own against all the CGI.
Yeah, I mean, you look at them and there's a weight to them, a realness that you don't always get with, with some of the more modern stuff.
It's true. And Tex Mike, one of the reviewers, actually said that. He talked about the almost tactile feel of those older effects.
Right.
Compared to the more digital, kind of smooth landscapes we see now.
I can see that.
Like you could feel the metal, the snow.
Yeah, you could feel the craftsmanship.
And it's not just the action, right? I mean, people love Yoda, his scenes with Luke.
Oh, yeah. Yoda's a fan favorite.
So Dick Particle goes on and on about the whole size matters not thing.
Of course, yeah. That's classic Yoda.
But then they dig deeper and talk about how Yoda's lessons are not just about the Force.
Yeah.
They're about facing yourself, your weaknesses.
Your inner demons.
Exactly. And then we have Han and Leia and their whole...
Oh, Han and Leia.
Their relationship.
So many people mention that.
The banter, the slow burn romance, that goodbye before he's frozen.
Right. There's real chemistry there. And, you can feel it. It's that classic opposites attract thing.
It totally works. And you know that I love you? I know. Right before the carbonite. It's perfect. It's perfect, Han Solo.
Boop the moveset. Han saves the moment. And he does.
He does.
But Empire doesn't shy away from, making things tough for these characters.
No, it doesn't. Sylvia Delmatov even talked about the darkness, the horror that Luke faces.
Uh-huh.
Training with Yoda, it's not just about light
No,
suits.
it's about confronting the dark side.
And then, of course, the duel with Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I am your father.
I mean, come on. What a moment.
That changes everything. Evo Cobra 8 and Morfunkel, they both said that scene is like a turning point.
Yeah.
Not just for Luke, but for the whole story.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
have to rethink everything.
You're suddenly forced to question, who's good, who's bad, what are the motivations here?
And that's brilliant, because it's not just this simple good versus evil thing anymore.
It's so much more complex.
And that complexity, I think, is why people still love this film.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you think. But it's not all doom and gloom either. Ethico 1987 said it balances the darkness with the fun, the adventure.
Right, like the escape from Hoth.
The asteroid field.
All those crazy creatures on Dagobah.
Yeah. They remind us, even when things are touch, there's still some excitement, some wonder.
Some joy.
But it's not all sunshine and rainbows in these reviews, is it?
But no, not everyone's a fan.
We've got some folks who think Empire is boring, overrated.
Maybe just riding the nostalgia wave.
And it's important to hear those voices, too.
Absolutely.
Because it makes us look at the film differently, Like the Music Dude 22, they called it one of the most overrated films ever.
Wow, okay. That's a hot take.
They said they actually prefer Phantom Menace.
Okay, that's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other deep dive.
Right. But it just shows, taste is subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Even a film like Empire, not everyone's going to love it.
And I think it also points to how maybe our expectations of films have changed over time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Something that might have been super exciting, back in 1980.
Might feel slow now.
Right.
Yeah.
Too much talking, not enough explosions. But then we have those reviewers who point out the goofs.
The goofs? What goofs?
The little mistakes.
Oh, you mean like the stagehand's arm swinging a lightsaber into view?
Exactly. It's kind of fun, to see those little imperfections.
Yeah, it humanizes it.
It does.
Makes it feel like even in the legendary films, they're still made by people.
Yeah, it's not all perfect. But despite those goofs, Empire clearly connected with people.
Still does.
So where do we go from here? We've got all this praise, a little criticism, all these observations. What's next?
I think we gotta, we've talked broadly about the film, but we need to zoom in now.
Okay.
Let's talk specifics, scenes, characters, the things fans keep bringing up.
Let's do it.
That'll help us understand why, even after all this time, The Empire Strikes Back remains so powerful.
All right, buckle up, because we're going even deeper.
Deep dive, round 2.
Here we go.
All right, so let's get into some specifics here, shall we? I mean, it's amazing how even the tiniest details in Empire, they spark such strong reactions from people.
It's true. I mean, how many times have you watched a movie and you suddenly notice something new?
Oh, all the time.
It's like unlocking a secret.
Like a little hidden gem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of those in these reviews.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Well, Stall, for instance, they talk about how important those opening scenes on Hoth are.
Okay.
It's easy to just kind of breeze past them, right? But they set the tone.
Totally. It's not a happy ending from A New Hope anymore.
No, our heroes are on the run. They're hiding.
Facing this, unstoppable empire.
And then, bam, we get the Wampa attack.
Wampa.
Brutal, right? You don't expect it.
No, you don't.
And it shows us that Luke, even as a Jedi, he's still vulnerable.
He's not invincible.
Not at all. And Emerald to Probates brought up something interesting. They said those early scenes, the Wampa, the AT-ads on Hoth, they've gone beyond the film itself.
What do you mean?
They're like part of our culture now.
Oh, I see.
Everyone knows those images.
The AT-ATs, they're everywhere. Toys, games.
Memes.
It's
That's the
ridiculous.
power of that visual storytelling.
And I think it's not just the spectacle of it, right? It's also about how those scenes establish the Empire.
Right.
I mean, those walkers,
They're terrifying.
they're not just big robots. They represent this overwhelming power, this oppression.
Yeah, it's like you're feeling the weight of the Empire right there on screen.
You are.
But Empire isn't all about big battles and explosions, right? I mean, there's a lot of love for those quieter moments, especially with Yoda.
Oh, yeah, Yoda. People can't get enough of him.
Eunuch Particle raved about the training scenes, the humor, the wisdom.
Right.
But they also said something really interesting. They said, Yoda's lessons, they're not just about mastering the Force, but about...
Mastering yourself?
Yeah, facing your own dark...
No, it's like an internal struggle,
Totally. Like, it's not just about lifting rocks with your mind. It's about lifting the weight of your own,
The inner demons.
Inner demons. And the film does such a good job of visually representing that, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like that cave
Ooh,
sequence,
the cave.
right, where Luke sees himself as Vader.
That's such powerful
It's
imagery.
foreshadowing too, right?
Totally. And Anthony Wisman pointed out how the dialogue in Empire, it's just snappier.
Snappier.
Yeah, more engaging than A New Hope. It's not just explaining plot points, it's
Right.
revealing character.
It's doing double duty.
Exactly. Like Han and Leia, their banter.
Oh, their banter is legendary.
It's so good. It's witty, it's funny, but it also shows how their feelings are developing.
It's subtle, but you can feel the tension.
And then, of course, that I love you, I know.
Oh, stop. You're gonna make me cry.
Gets me every time. Bob and Bill called it perfect. They said Han, even when he's about to be frozen, he keeps his cool.
It's so Han Solo.
It is. But like we were saying, Empire puts these characters through a lot.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Sevely Almatov even talked about the horror.
The horror.
Yeah, that Luke faces, training with Yoda, seeing visions, facing the dark side.
It's intense.
It is. It's a coming-of-age story, but with these incredibly high stakes.
And then the duel with Vader.
I am your father.
This changes everything.
Right. Ivo Cobrate and Borfunkel, they both said that scene is a turning point, not just for Luke.
But for the whole saga.
Exactly. Suddenly, everything we thought we knew is like,
Flipped on its head.
yeah, it's not just good versus evil anymore. It's so much more complicated.
And that's why it works. It makes you think. It makes you question things.
Absolutely. But even with all that, Empire still remembers to have fun.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a quote. 1987 actually said that. They said it balances the darkness with the humor, the excitement.
You need that balance, right?
You do. Like the escape from Hoth, the asteroid chase.
Dagobah, all those weird creatures.
It's like even in the midst of all this darkness, there's still this sense of wonder, of adventure.
It's classic Star Wars.
It is. But even with all the love, we still have those dissenting voices, right? The people who think Empire maybe isn't all that.
Yeah, not everyone's going to be on board.
Like Niemeyer, they actually said a lot of the praise is just nostalgia.
Oh, the nostalgia argument.
Right. They said if you look at it through a modern lens, maybe it wouldn't be as highly regarded.
That's an interesting point. It's easy to look back on things with rose-tinted glasses.
Right. But does that mean if you didn't grow up with it, it's automatically not as good?
That's a tough one. I mean, there's definitely something to be said for the power of childhood memories.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think there's something about Empire that transcends that. It's just a well-made film.
And even those who criticize it, they often acknowledge its achievements, its impact.
Exactly. Like the Music Dude 22, they weren't huge fans of the film overall, but they loved John Williams' score.
The music is iconic.
They specifically mentioned the Imperial March.
Oh, chills. Every time.
It's like you hear that music and you instantly think of Darth Vader, the Empire.
It's so powerful. And I think it's amazing. Even the people who don't love Empire, they can still find something to appreciate about it.
It's a testament to the film's legacy, I think, and this whole debate about nostalgia, about what makes a good film.
It's just another layer of the Empire experience.
Exactly. It's a film that makes you think, makes you talk, makes you feel things. And that's what's so great about it.
It's amazing, though, this whole nostalgia thing. Like, it really affects how we see things,
Absolutely. Especially with something like Star Wars. It's so ingrained in our culture.
Yeah, everyone's got their own Star Wars story.
Their own memories.
Yeah. The Northern Monkey, they had this interesting take.
Oh, yeah.
Their review was short, but they gave the film a 10 out of 10 simply because Lucas didn't write the script.
That makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
It's like they're acknowledging the other creative voices involved.
Right. The director, Irvin Kershner, the screenwriter, Lee Brackett.
It's a collaboration, isn't it? Filmmaking.
It is. And I think what the Northern Monkey is getting at is that sometimes those other voices, they can bring something really special. These reviews span decades.
That's right. We've got people who saw it in '80 and people seeing it for the first time now.
And it makes you wonder, does it hold up the same way, for someone watching it today?
Good question. I mean, the world's a different place now.
Totally. Our ideas about what makes a good film, they've probably changed.
They probably have, but looking at these reviews, it seems like Empire still has that power, to connect with people.
Yeah.
Movie Addict 2016 calls it the best Star Wars film ever made.
I've seen a lot of those.
Toon Splitters just says, masterpiece.
Straight to the point.
And no messing around. So clearly, it's still resonating.
So what is it? What makes The Empire Strikes Back so timeless? Is it just nostalgia?
I don't think so. I think it's, those themes, they're universal.
Good versus evil.
In the face of adversity, sacrifice, selflessness. timelessness, those are things that speak to everyone, no matter who you are or when you saw the film.
And the filmmaking itself, it's brilliant.
Absolutely. The effects, I mean, sure, they were groundbreaking then, but they still hold up.
Hmm.
The score, the sound design, the pacing, it's all just, it works.
The Little Songbird, they called it their 8th favorite film of all time.
Wow, eighth.
They talked about the pacing, the sophistication of the story, the relationships, Han and Leia, Luke and Yoda.
It's true. Those relationships are so key.
Yeah, they add this emotional depth. It's not just spaceships and lightsabers.
It's about the characters, their struggles, their connections.
We see ourselves in them.
Exactly. And that's the magic of The Empire Strikes Back. It's this big, epic story. But it's also deeply personal. It's about those human connections.
The choices we make.
And I think as we wrap up this deep dive, it's important to remember these reviews, they're just a starting point.
Right, a jumping off point.
They show us how people have responded to the film, how they've interpreted it,
But it's up to each of us to find our own meaning.
to have our own experience.
So go watch Empire again, whether it's your first time or your 100th.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the details. Think about the themes, the characters.
Let yourself feel it.
Yeah, let yourself feel it, and then talk about it.
Share your thoughts, debate it,
Maybe you'll discover something new about the film.
or even about yourself.
It's a film that keeps on giving. So with that, we'll bring this deep dive to a close. But remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Keep exploring The Empire Strikes Back. Keep thinking, keep feeling. And as always, may the Force be with you.